All right. Hi, everybody. It's Laurie from Second Wind, and I am here with Leslye Schumacher of Vici Media. And I thought it was important to have a dialogue and an interview with Leslye to talk about what's going on with digital media these days. I've had lots of calls and lots of conversations with many of you whose clients are unfortunately cutting traditional media budgets and, of course, pulling back on some programs. And I know that there are lots of opportunities out there that we need to be thinking about, we need to be presenting to our clients. And digital media is such an important part of what we do in general. And even more so, I think these days, that it just made sense for me to have a dialogue with Leslye about that. So I have Leslye on the line from Vici Media, and they are a provider, a partner that works with clients, that works with agencies, that works with media companies to help them with their digital needs. And she is very well-versed and knowledgeable about digital media. She and her partner work with a number of Second Wind members as well with their programs. So Leslye, good morning. Welcome to the interview. I appreciate you taking a little bit of time to be with me here today just to kind of talk about some of these opportunities. So as I said, you work with agencies and clients. Right. Tell me, as you've been talking to them, what has their kind of response been to this overall COVID crisis in terms of how they work with you, and really what have they been saying to you?
Well, in the very beginning, we just had a tsunami of cancellations and pauses. Just everybody kind of said, oh, just pause my campaign. I don't know what's going on yet. So the first couple weeks were pretty scary. Everybody stopped what they were doing. What we've noticed in like the last 2 weeks, 10 days to 2 weeks, are a lot of the campaigns have come back, the digital campaigns, but with a very different marketing bent.
Okay.
A lot of them, changed up their ad creative, and we're focusing more on branding and awareness, and here's what we're still doing, or here's what, why we're closed, or here's what we can offer. So a lot of them came back with very different messages, and what they were doing before is kind of put on hold.
Got it. So you had an initial kind of response that was a little bit panic-based, and then people took a step back and reevaluated and said, we got to really keep moving forward. Maybe not in a way that we have been, but we don't want to completely disappear.
Right. And so we've definitely seen a decrease in campaign amounts in terms of total spend. That's been a lot less because it makes sense. People are nervous about spending money, especially if they're not open at all. So campaign amounts have certainly decreased. But what we've been trying to advise people is, if it's possible, not to go completely dark, because there are so many studies that were done during the last recession that show that the companies that stayed active were the ones that benefited when things did start to rebound. And things will rebound, they always do. So at least if it's possible to stay with the campaign and do something, even if it's just a message of, hey, we're here, we're sorry we're not open full time, but we want our employees to be home and be safe. Even something like that just keeps people aware of you. And especially with digital, because time spent on digital has skyrocketed over the last 6 weeks, obviously.
Yes, no doubt about it. And And I mean, that makes sense. We're all kind of sequestered. Even I noticed myself turning to a lot more digital tools, a lot more video conferencing than I had done previously. So we were sort of forced into this position, but that makes sense to me. So really what you're saying is there has been an increase in the use of digital, even beyond where we were before, which was an amazing amount of digital we accessed.
Right. In fact, Forbes just did an article 2 weeks ago where they talked about how digital has increased and the amount of time spent has increased, and how a lot of advertisers have moved budget out of some of the traditional mediums, radio and outdoor, because people aren't in their cars as much, obviously. Mm-hmm. So what we're just now starting to see is that trickle effect, where some of those dollars that were earmarked for radio or for outdoor or for events, they're now moving into digital because, again, usage has skyrocketed, but also because it is so targeted. One of the products we've seen have an increase over the last couple of weeks is this product called address targeting, where we can target an ad to specific households. And with everyone being sequestered, that is a great thing to be able to do, is for a business to be able to say, okay, here's my database, and these are the people I need to stay in contact with somehow. Right. And, you know, sure, you can email them and that's great, but a lot of people don't open emails from businesses. So this is a way to take advantage of when they're online, just on the websites and apps they normally would go to be able to show people in that household your ad.
Got it. And how does that get delivered? So it gets delivered to their desktop computer, to their mobile phone?
All devices, right.
Got it. So yeah, it would rotate in like a regular ad would, but gets targeted to a specific address.
That's right. It's targeted to that household. So basically what the ad platform does is it draws little tiny geofences around the home that you want to reach. And so a campaign might have several thousand, depending on how many names you have on your list and addresses, of these little geofences, and then we're able to serve ads directly to those folks. So like that, we've seen an increase in other products, online audio, because a lot of people are working from home, and if you're working from home, you might have Spotify or SoundCloud or, you know, one of those streaming services on in the background while you're holed up in your guest room or your dining room or your bathroom, wherever you're working from. Yeah. So that's another product that we've been advising people on is, you know, let's take advantage of the fact that people are spending all this time online. Yeah. Yeah. And that's online audio. So address targeting. And just back to the address targeting for a moment, seems very relevant, obviously, for local businesses. Right. Because may not have a physical location operating right now, but they can still either communicate or do home delivery or curbside pickup. So they don't want people to think they're completely shut down. Exactly. And for the folks that are completely shut down, I think what's really important for agencies to do, and we've seen a lot of our agency partners doing this, is talk to them, be their marketing guru, and say, okay, so you can't advertise right now. Let's talk about what you can do. So what are some of the things that you can be doing that don't cost anything? So for example, we've been doing webinars for our client partners where we talk about how do you maximize your Google My Business listing and update it for COVID? How do you keep your SEO ranking strong? Those are things, you know, teaching them about Google Analytics or about how to look at their Facebook insights. Those are things that you can be offering to your clients that really show your marketing prowess, that aren't asking them to spend money right now.
Right.
So we've been doing a lot of those webinars, and I would encourage any agency to do that, whether you do them live or put them on demand.
Yeah.
We've been seeing, we do weekly webinars anyway. In a normal weekly webinar, we would get anywhere from 150 to 200 people on it. And we've had webinars now where we've had almost 500 people on it.
Wow.
So there's definitely an appetite for that. We've also been doing it for our clients' clients. I have one later today where we're talking about, okay, how can you go into Google My Business and update it and put a post on there, or update pictures or videos, or what hours you're open. That will help your SEO in the long run. So I think that's important too, is not just to be talking about products that they could spend money on, but also what could they be doing for their marketing that won't cost them anything, that shows that you're thinking about it from their perspective.
Absolutely. And you may or may not know, but I've been holding some principals calls where we've had 15 or so principals together just to kind of talk about some things that they're doing to help their clients during this time. And I have heard time and time again how important that dialogue is with clients, just to have still that connection with them, to show some goodwill. We know that budgets are being cut. We know that clients are being very conscious at this point about how they're spending their money. But I think everyone would agree that a little bit now is going to go a long way later. So that goodwill, I think, is really what you're talking about. Just keep them educated, keep them knowledgeable, show them that you care beyond just getting ad dollars from them.
Absolutely. And also having the conversation of, let's talk about June, July, this fall.
Yeah.
Let's talk about fourth quarter, because, things are going to probably slowly open back up, and you want your clients to have a game plan.
Yes.
So, now when they have maybe some downtime, this is a great time to strategize with them and say, okay, let's look at summer. Let's look at this fall. What are you thinking you might want to do? And kind of helping them map out a game plan so that when things do open back up, they're not scrambling, trying to figure out what they need to do at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we always say, oh, I wish we had more time to plan. I wish we had more time to look ahead. I think now we have that time. We have to take advantage of that and look at that as a gift rather than a negative. Yes, many of us are hurting, and this has not been an easy time, but try to turn this negative into a positive in some way. And I think that's very good advice, is, this too shall pass, and we have to look down the road and see, what the future might hold. So we have to plan for that. I think that's great advice on both fronts. And I've been hearing that from agencies in terms of just things that they're trying to do. So we talked about a couple of vehicles, the address targeting, the online audio as well through Spotify, et cetera. That's, national in scope potentially, I would guess. What are some other vehicles? Can be both.
Well, sure. Any of the digital products could be scaled however that particular business needs them to be.
Yeah.
So that might be as small as, I just want to do this one zip code, or a 10-mile radius around my location, or as wide as statewide, citywide, or nationwide. So that's one of the great things about digital, especially during this time, is that it could be scaled however that particular client needs it to be. So that, and the fact that it's very targeted and you can down to the exact people you want to reach, that's obviously a big plus for digital. The other product that we see some of these campaigns coming back on using is video and OTT, over the top video advertising. Again, because so many people are streaming right now. So we can't go to the movies, we can't go out to dinner. So I know that my video consumption and everybody in our house has really skyrocketed. So that's another great place to have your ad, is in streaming content that people are watching either on their connected TVs or their phones or their tablets. So that's another great product to talk to your clients about right now, as well as social, Facebook and Instagram and Messenger. These all have seen big increases in usage. So that's another great place to put your message as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's lots of options right now. And I think you make a good point about traditional. You're right. People are not in their cars. People are not listening to radio. The boards are going unseen. Certainly some traditional like TV, et cetera, is all still very impactful at this moment. But some of those dollars that they had earmarked for vehicles that aren't getting the eyeballs that they need right now, think about putting some of that to digital. And I suppose, obviously digital has good response rates. And I'm assuming that they have held, if not increased during this time period. Are you seeing that the effectiveness of digital has actually gone up?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that we look at. So obviously clicks, that's sort of the oldest metric, and we have seen click rates go up. But the metric we look at and kind of think is more important to a client is conversion rates. Mm-hmm. So of the people who saw the client's ad, how many of them converted, took the next step, whether that's purchasing or a phone call or filling out a contact us form. And we have seen conversion rates hold and in some cases go up. So that's very encouraging. It means that people are still engaging with the ads, and probably is because a lot of us now are buying more online because we can't go into stores. So even if someone isn't e-commerce, even if it's a legal client, they still benefit from the fact that more people are online and spending more time online. Yeah. And that's the other thing we've been sharing with our agency partners is that, with this kind of downtime, this is a great time to prospect, which may sound a little odd, but if you think about it, there are certain businesses where they are busier than ever. Mm-hmm. And you still, for example, here's some of the ones that we've seen increase. Colleges and universities still need fall enrollment. So that's been a big category that's held over the last 6 weeks. Law firms, people still need legal advice. Unfortunately, bankruptcy, legal firms is something that we've seen on the rise. They're doing more advertising. Mm-hmm. Estate planning. Personal injury, certainly that's always a strong category, but people still need legal help. They also still need insurance. So insurance brokers are still advertising. Mm-hmm. We see government. A lot of local counties are doing stay-at-home messages. So we're doing that in a number of places. All of these types of folks need agencies. They could use that help. So those are some of the categories. The other one we've seen a lot is anything in home improvement. Yeah. So prospecting with, you still need heating and air companies, you still need plumbers, you still need roofers and electricians, and a lot of people are doing home improvement projects. Yes. So we've been encouraging our agency partners to use this downtime to prospect for new business with some of these categories that we see still advertising.
For sure. It's fortunate for our economy that not everybody is down. That would be detrimental. We're suffering enough as it is. But, I'm guilty of home improvement during this time period, as I know many people are. And you do see the legal ads, and you do see the insurance ads. And, of course, you see the auto manufacturers are still out there. So people are sending messages in one way or another as much as they can. Certainly the smaller businesses are probably hurt a little bit more in terms of their dollars, but for the local, I think some of the things that you mentioned, because they're so targeted, because they can really help local businesses get the message out. I think particularly for a lot of our members who work with smaller local businesses, they need to remember that some of these opportunities are there and take advantage of that. Agreed. I think there is still lots of opportunity, and you can't just turn off the new business faucet at this time. You need to keep staying out there. To your point earlier, this is going to pass, and they're going to need to be ready, and they're going to need to ramp up when the time comes. So you want to try to keep that pipeline full. And I think those are some good recommendations in terms of industries that we've seen kind of consistent spending from, and an uptick in some cases, depending on, the industry. So I think overall, there is still lots of opportunity for advertisers. There's still lots of opportunity for agencies to keep themselves focused and keep themselves busy. Yes, we have taken a hit, and some may not feel that hit even for a little bit, because maybe programs were running through and clients are just not reinvesting yet. So some of the agencies I talk to say, hey, things are pretty good right now, but I'm a little bit concerned about what's coming down the road. That's a great time to intervene and say to the clients, hey, I've got some other opportunities for you. And I think digital really fits that need.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So good. Well, Leslye, I think that was wonderful information. You touched on a lot of points that I think are going to be very helpful to members. And certainly, we enjoy working with you. And I know our members that work with you enjoy working with you. And, maybe some from this video would like to reach out and have a further dialogue. So I'll make sure that we have that contact information available for them. Anything that you'd like to add in closing?
Just for everybody to hang in there. I know it's a scary time. It is for us as well, but things are going to slowly get back to normal, and we're here to help in any way that we can.
Good. Well, I appreciate it. It was good to see you and talk to you as always. And thank you very much for spending this time with me and for the information you provided.
Thanks, Laurie, and thanks for all you do at Second Wind. Really is awesome.
Thanks, Leslye. Thanks. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.